is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
That Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion, but I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Sports analyst Stephen A. Smith fired back at Floyd Mayweather for trying to downplay Terence Crawford's win over Canelo. Smith emphasized that Crawford's achievement was nothing short of historic, noting that no boxer has ever reached the milestone of becoming undisputed across multiple weight divisions the way Crawford has. He underlined that Crawford's journey and success are fully earned, deserving respect and admiration rather than criticism. In Smith's view, the victory over Canelo wasn't just another addition to Crawford's record. It was a career-defining moment that cements his place among the sport's legends. He made it clear that Mayweather's dismissive remarks can't take away from the magnitude of Crawford's accomplishment.
Best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather didn't hold back when discussing the shock Terence Crawford delivered to Canelo Alvarez. He explained that this defeat would forever leave its mark on Canelo's career. Canelo had been the undisputed ruler of the division, carrying both status and dominance over every challenger. But that image was shattered when Crawford, daring to step up in weight, beat him on his own turf. For Jeff, this wasn't a minor setback. It was a lasting blemish on Canelo's legacy. He stressed that great champions are often remembered by their defining moments, and for Canelo, that moment has now become a crushing loss at the hands of Crawford.
Either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. And Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. He had a huge following because he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was blown away by Terence Crawford's victory and made his admiration crystal clear. He highlighted the fact that he witnessed the moment in person, which made the achievement feel even more powerful. Smith explained that no fighter in boxing history has pulled off what Crawford just did, stepping up in weight and defeating a dominant champion like Canelo in such decisive fashion. He described it as a career-defining accomplishment that places Crawford in a league of his own, ensuring the night will be remembered as a landmark in the sport's history. For Smith, this wasn't just another bout, but a turning point in how true greatness is measured in boxing.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props. WWE.
After the fight, Terence Crawford's trainer made it clear that his fighter has nothing left to prove. In his eyes, Crawford has reached a level where respect should come automatically. Yet some critics still refuse to give him full credit. That frustration highlights the reality that even after dismantling one of the sport's biggest stars, Crawford continues to fight battles outside the ring. The trainer stressed that Crawford isn't even focused on what comes next, because his performance against Canelo already sealed his place in history. For Crawford, this moment wasn't about chasing another opponent's name. It was about solidifying a legacy that speaks for itself.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24...
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest takes yet, putting Terence Crawford side by side with Floyd Mayweather in the all-time conversation. Bradley argued that Crawford's name now deserves to sit at the very top when discussing boxing's greatest. To him, this wasn't just about Crawford beating Canelo. It was about reshaping what it truly means to be pound-for-pound number one. Bradley acknowledged Mayweather's mastery of the sport in his era, but he pointed out that Crawford just proved he could reach even greater heights by stepping up and defeating Canelo at his peak. In Bradley's view, this victory has elevated Crawford into a rare space reserved only for the sport's true legends.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume.
Roy Jones Jr. offered a balanced perspective, drawing a clear line between Crawford's victory over Canelo and Mayweather's. He pointed out that when Floyd faced Canelo, the young star was still learning and hadn't yet reached his peak, which allowed Mayweather to outclass him with technical brilliance and ring IQ. Crawford's challenge was entirely different. He went up against a fully established, prime Canelo who had dominated his division for years. Despite giving up size, Crawford systematically broke him down. For Roy, that's what makes the they're encountered.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to find it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. the age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was left in disbelief at what unfolded in the ring. He explained that Canelo had no solutions for Crawford's non-stop pressure, blistering speed, and pinpoint accuracy. McKenzie described the performance as nothing short of astonishing, one of the most complete showcases seen in modern boxing. He emphasized that Crawford not only unified the division, but also showed himself to be virtually untouchable, even against elite opposition. Speaking with both awe and respect, McKenzie made it clear that Crawford has now set a benchmark so high that only a handful of fighters in history could ever hope to match it.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. There's a discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs. You know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to win round.
Trainer Robert Garcia delivered one of the strongest acknowledgements of Terence Crawford's greatness, claiming that in this context, he's accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather. Garcia emphasized that Crawford convincingly won 9 or 10 rounds against Canelo and showcased a level of hunger and determination that Floyd never displayed in such high-risk situations. He explained that Mayweather never chose to move up and dominate a naturally bigger champion the way Crawford just did, which makes this victory both unique and historic. For Garcia, the achievement goes beyond belts and records. It's about taking bold risks and succeeding, the kind of daring that transforms great fighters into legends.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy.
Brian Norman Sr. didn't mince words when he declared that Terence Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Alvarez was far more punishing than anything Floyd Mayweather ever handed out. His statement struck a chord with fans and analysts because it perfectly captured what happened in the ring. Canelo, long celebrated as the king of his division, wasn't simply defeated. He was systematically taken apart by a man who had jumped up 2 weight classes just to meet him. Crawford's display was nothing less than a masterclass, one that reshaped the modern definition of greatness in boxing. For years, Canelo had ruled the super middleweight division with an iron grip, establishing himself as the sport's biggest star, fighting elite opponents, and building a reputation. Night, Crawford destroyed that aura. What stunned the boxing world wasn't only the outcome, but the way it unfolded. Canelo wasn't narrowly outpointed or pushed to the limit. He was outclassed from start to finish, left searching for solutions that never appeared.
That against Bud on Porter, I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, but he hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease.
Right.
You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way he won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Matrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things it's opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah,
well,
different
right?
eras. Different. It's a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, a legend in his own right, placed Terence Crawford's victory in its proper historical frame. He called it a generational fight, the kind of moment fans will revisit for decades as a true turning point in boxing. Ward explained that nights like these define careers and distinguish great fighters from eternal legends. What impressed him most was Crawford's discipline, staying sharp, calm, and strategic from start to finish, never letting emotions disrupt his game plan. To Ward, this was a GOAT-level performance that firmly placed Crawford in the discussion of the greatest fighters the sport has ever seen. By dismantling Canelo so decisively, Crawford elevated himself to a rare pedestal where only a handful of names in boxing history belong.
Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford is great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people called me crazy, but I've been around Terence.
He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more updates, breakdowns, and analysis coming your way. Until next time.